I still remember the look on those kids' faces. Not because they were smiling, not because they welcomed me, but because the first thing they asked after I walked through their front door was a question no child should ever have to ask. Are you going to leave too? The words hit harder than any insult ever could. I stood frozen in the hallway, holding a bag of takeout and a bouquet of flowers that suddenly felt ridiculous in my hands. Their mother, Sarah, closed her eyes as if the question physically hurt. Guys, she said softly, we talked about this. But the older boy, Ethan, maybe 10 years old, didn't look away. He stared directly at me, waiting, not for an answer, for a prediction, as if he already knew what kind of man I was, as if he'd seen my type before. And maybe he had. I met Sarah 3 weeks earlier. We matched online after months of me swiping without much hope. Her profile wasn't flashy. No filtered photos. No dramatic quotes. Just a picture of her laughing at a baseball game and another one holding 2 children who looked like they were trying to tackle her. Her bio read, single mom, 2 kids, coffee addict, looking for kindness more than perfection. Something about that honesty caught my attention. We started talking, then texting, then calling. Every conversation felt easy, real, no games, no pretending. On our first official date, we met at a small restaurant downtown. She arrived 10 minutes late, apologizing, looking exhausted. Babysitter emergency, she explained. I almost cancelled. I'm glad you didn't, she smiled. And for some reason that smile stayed with me long after the night ended. We talked for hours, about work, family, dreams, failures, the things people usually hide until the 3rd or 4th date. When the restaurant closed, neither of us wanted the evening to end. So we walked through the quiet streets talking beneath the city lights. That's when she told me about her ex-husband. Not with bitterness, not with anger, just sadness. He left when Lily was 4 and Ethan was 7. I nodded quietly. He still sees them sometimes, she laughed. Not the happy kind. Number. That single word carried years of disappointment. He started another family in another state. My chest tightened. Do the kids know? They know enough. She looked away. They stopped asking when he was coming back. Sometimes the saddest moments aren't the loud ones. They're the quiet moments when someone tells you they've given up hoping. At the end of the night, I walked her to her car. I had a great time, she said. Me too. Then she hesitated. I should probably tell you something. What? Dating a single mom sounds easier than it is. I smiled. I never thought it was easy. She looked relieved. Most people do. A week later, she invited me over for dinner. Not as some major relationship milestone. Just pizza and a movie. A chance to meet Ethan and Lily. I was nervous. More nervous than the first date. Because impressing a woman is one thing, earning the trust of her children is something entirely different. And then came that question. Are you going to leave too? The room fell silent. Sarah looked embarrassed. I looked at Ethan and suddenly realized this wasn't a test. It was fear. Pure fear. The kind children carry when adults break promises too many times. I knelt down so we were eye level. I don't know, I answered honestly. Sarah looked surprised. Ethan frowned. You don't know? Number. The room became even quieter. Because nobody can promise the future. I swallowed. But I can promise this. He waited. If I say I'm coming over, I'll come over. His eyes narrowed. And if I care about somebody, I won't pretend I don't. Neither child responded. But neither walked away. That felt like progress. Dinner was awkward, then funny, then surprisingly comfortable. Lily spent 20 minutes explaining why dinosaurs would win against superheroes. Ethan corrected everyone's baseball statistics. Sarah laughed more than I'd ever seen. When I left that night, Lily handed me a crayon drawing. It showed 4 stick figures. Her, Ethan, Sarah, and me. I stared at it. You already drew me? She shrugged. I had room. I kept that drawing. I still have it. Over the next few months, I became a regular part of their lives. Nothing dramatic. Homework help, soccer games, movie nights, Saturday pancakes. Small things. But small things become big things when they happen consistently. One evening Ethan asked me to help build a science project. 3 hours later we were both covered in glue. The project looked terrible, but he smiled the entire time. Another night Lily fell asleep on the couch while watching cartoons. Without thinking, I carried her to bed. The next morning Sarah called me. You know what Lily said? What? She said she felt safe. I had to pull my car over, because somehow those 3 words meant more than anything else. Months passed. Then one day everything changed. Sarah's ex-husband suddenly called. After almost 3 years, he wanted to reconnect. At first Sarah thought it might be good for the kids. Maybe people could change. Maybe fathers could come back. Maybe miracles happened. For a while everyone hoped. Even Ethan. Especially Ethan. The first visit went well. The second seemed okay. The third never happened. He cancelled, then cancelled again, then disappeared, again. No explanation, no apology, nothing. I'll never forget the night Ethan found out. He sat on the back porch staring at the yard. Not crying, just staring. I sat beside him. Neither of us spoke for a while. Finally he asked, was it my fault? My heart shattered. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe he doesn't like me. I turned toward him. Listen to me. His eyes were red. This is not because of you. Then why? I took a deep breath. Because some questions don't have answers children deserve. Because some adults are broken in ways kids can't fix. He looked down. I really wanted him to stay. I know. Then something happened I'll never forget. He leaned against me, just slightly. Like he was finally tired of carrying the weight alone. And I realized trust isn't earned when life is easy. It's earned when someone expects you to disappear and you don't. The following year brought challenges. Sarah lost her job. Medical bills piled up after Lily broke her arm. The house needed repairs. Everything seemed to happen at once. Stress filled every corner of their lives. One evening I found Sarah crying in the kitchen. The kids were asleep. The lights were off. She didn't hear me coming. I'm failing them, she whispered. You're not. She wiped her eyes. I'm trying so hard. I know. I can't keep doing everything alone. The words hung in the air. For a moment neither of us spoke. Then I took her hand. You don't have to. She started crying harder. Not because she was weak. Because sometimes strength finally gets permission to rest. A few months later, I proposed. Nothing extravagant. No flash mob. No expensive resort. Just the 4 of us at a park where we spent countless Saturdays. Sarah said yes before I finished asking. Then Lily screamed loud enough to scare nearby birds. Ethan hugged me. Really hugged me. And that's when he whispered something in my ear. Something I'll carry for the rest of my life. You stayed. Just 2 words. But they contained years of hurt, years of fear, years of waiting for someone to prove that leaving wasn't inevitable. Our wedding was small. Family, friends, people who genuinely cared. During the reception, Ethan stood up unexpectedly. Everyone assumed he wanted more cake. Instead, he cleared his throat. The room quieted. Then he looked at me. When Mom first brought him home, he said, I thought he'd leave. I felt my throat tighten. Because everybody leaves. The room became silent. But he didn't. Sarah was already crying. So I just wanted to say thank you. His voice cracked. For choosing us, not helping us, not saving us, choosing us. The distinction mattered, because love isn't about rescuing people. It's about staying when leaving would be easier. Years later, people sometimes ask how I knew Sarah was the one. They expect some romantic answer, a magical moment, a sign from the universe. But the truth is simpler. I knew because she taught me what real strength looks like. I knew because her children showed me what courage looks like. And I knew because a little boy once looked at me with frightened eyes and asked a question that changed my life. Are you going to leave too? Back then, I didn't know the answer. Nobody can predict the future. But every day afterward, I made a choice to show up, to stay, to love again and again, and eventually those children stopped asking whether I would leave because they already knew. Sometimes the greatest act of kindness isn't a grand gesture. It isn't money. It isn't heroics. It isn't sacrifice. Sometimes it's simply proving that your presence is not temporary. Because in a world where so many people walk away, the people who stay become unforgettable. And for one beautiful family, staying changed everything.